Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now today I'm going to be doing some gear reviews and some gear testing. Came to one of my favorite spots where I really like to kind of get away, spend a little bit of time by myself, do a little bit of, gear testing, gear research, playing around in the woods a little bit, just kind of enjoying my time. Now today's a very nice day. It's probably about 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So a little bit of mud and slush around. Now it's been a little bit snowy over the past couple of weeks. Not a ton of snow, but just enough that it's coated the ground, and days like today that are a little bit warmer starts to melt and get a little bit muddy and slushy. So with the mud and slush, I thought what I would do today is a little bit of testing of these 2GoSystems gaiters. Now these gaiters here are by 2GoSystems. If you haven't seen my channel in the past, I do greatly enjoy 2GoSystems gear. I think they do a nice job. They're very innovative and really try to kind of push the limits with different fabrics and different designs to create an innovative product a little bit above and beyond what you typically see. So at this point, I have not yet used these gaiters. I'm going to give them a shot, just get my overall impressions. Now, in an upcoming trip, I am going to be doing some sort of deep mountain hiking, and I really want to give these things a try, but I don't like testing gear for the first time in the mountains. I kind of like to give things a try while I'm in more of a controlled environment, so where I'm just kind of hanging out at one of my local places where I like to do some filming. I thought this would be a great opportunity. Now, as I mentioned at this point, I have not yet used these, but I am very excited to get these out on the trails. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to talk about, do me a favor. Stay tuned. So as I mentioned, it is kind of a nice day today. Everything's starting to melt a little bit. Good overall heat coming from the sun. All the snow and slush is really starting to melt. So, right now I'm kind of walking on a road, but I will be soon bushwhacking my way and kind of hiking through the woods. And so I figured having these gaiters here would definitely help out. Now really, I feel like gaiters provide a couple of different good overall uses. I mean, snow is one, yeah, that's for sure. Second is mud and water and things like that. I just kind of like them on a day like today because I can use them to keep the bottoms of my pants really pretty clean and dry. A lot of times when you're hiking around, you kind of don't really pay attention to your feet sometimes, and you end up rubbing up against your pants and kicking mud all over the place. So a day like today, it's nice just to keep my pants clean and dry. Now, if you've seen my channel before, you probably realize that 2GoSystems utilizes some special fabric. But if you have not seen my channel before, basically the idea of the 2GoSystems gear, generally speaking, they use an aluminized material. Now, these are basically a ripstop nylon, and then on the inside, as I will show you real quick here, the inside is an aluminized interior. So at this point, my legs are definitely warming up. The key with that aluminized interior being that it has an added thermal value. So not only are these gaiters useful to keep snow out and keep my pants right now clean and dry, but these also add an interior thermal barrier. And the idea with the aluminized interior being that my own leg's body heat is basically reflecting back at itself. So these are not necessarily allowing that same amount of heat to dissipate out, but rather kind of reflect it back at my legs. And I can tell you it is definitely working. Now, it's not to say that I'm overly hot right now. I mean, I am a little on the warm side in general just because I'm heating up as I hike in. But for the most part, it actually feels pretty good on my legs. I could see this being very good on a ridiculously cold day, doing a good job holding in that heat and just keeping my calves overall warmer. Now, after talking with Brian from 2GoSystems, he's theorizing that if you're able to keep your lower legs and your calves warmer, it will actually do a better job keeping your feet warmer. And I'd have to say that makes a lot of sense. I think it's to be proven over time. I mean, and it's really something that's going to be hard to measure. But at the same time, in theory, I do think that seems to make sense. Now at this point on the trail, I am starting to develop some overall thoughts about these, starting to get an understanding of things that I like and things that I don't. So I'm going to continue on to my campsite, get myself situated, and then we'll go through the details. So at this point, I'm at my camp, and I've had a good chance to use these hiking in here. I've gone through a couple of different types of terrain, gone through some slushy stuff, some wet stuff, some muddy stuff, and at this point I've definitely developed somewhat of a thought process on these gaiters. So before I get into the details, the first thing I'd like to say to kind of premise this is that Brian from 2GoSystems is, again, very innovative, but more importantly, he is not satisfied with a product that's not perfect. So you will see a lot of his products have different iterations. Your version 1, your version 2, your version 3, and in some cases, version 4. So he's constantly taking the criticism and the feedback and the different things that he learns about his products to make some changes. And I think this product may be one of those. Now, these definitely function, for the most part, the way they're supposed to. Kept my legs overall dry, definitely kept them warm. The warmth part of it is excellent. I can say that it definitely did a nice job. In fact, my lower legs feel great. My upper legs, just a touch on the cold side, but again, you know, I've hiked in here. I am kind of up to temperature and warm right now. So as my body cools off, as I'm kind of sitting here and doing my filming, I'll be really interested to see how these continue to keep my lower legs warm versus maybe my upper legs and even other parts of my body. But where I have a little bit of trouble is with the overall lashing system that goes underneath my feet. And I'm going to show you some of these details. So now getting into the details, as you look at how these are set up, they are both a right hand and left hand version. Now I'm not completely certain which was intended to be on which leg, so I set them up the way that I felt as though it would be the most conducive to the way I think they would go, the way that I'm used to other particular models of other brands. So you'll notice here that this I set up as my left hand version, so the buckle is basically to the outside on the top, and then the right hand version, again, the buckle being on the outside to the top. And the Velcro, again, on the right hand side, opening basically to the outside, and on the left hand, again, opening to the outside. Now I think that's advantageous because when you do that, the chances of the hardware clacking together and your legs rubbing together and kind of messing with things is a lot less likely when the hardware and the enclosure is on the outside of your legs. Could you potentially rub up against other things? Yeah, sure, but I feel as though I'm more apt to rubbing against my own legs than I am other things. But again, where I struggle is with the buckles. In these cases, again, with all the enclosures being on the outside of my leg, I find as though the buckle is on the inside of my foot. And that's a little bit problematic where, again, my feet can kind of click together. And then the other thing, too, is if I'm scrambling or doing things that I'm hiking and climbing, a lot of times I'll use the inside of my foot for leverage. I do also have to admit I use the outside of my foot, but I would say less apt to using the outside of my foot than the inside. So having your hardware there is a little bit of exposure. And the other thing is you'll notice that where these sit on my actual legs and feet, I like how low these ride. It is kind of nice the fact that these get nice and low and give you overall good coverage, but the buckle itself also riding very low, and to the point where I actually loosened these up because I was nervous of the fact that if I wasn't careful and I actually cranked these down as tight as I wish I could, the hardware itself goes under my foot, and that is the case on both of these, so that is a little bit of a downfall. Now I think for the short term there is something that I can do to improve this situation. Essentially my goal is going to be to take this loop, this actual extra piece of this webbing here, and draw the clip closer in towards the fabric. I'm just going to sew right across the top here and close that up so the hardware itself will ride a little bit higher. So then at that point, as I lace these up, it will do a better job keeping it tighter. It will do a better job holding it in place in more of a conducive spot for how it fits my actual feet and how it fits my boots. With the biggest benefit being at that point, I'm not apt to stepping on the actual hardware. Now, keeping in mind different boots of different sizes, different shapes of feet, and things like that will affect how these fit. It will affect where it lands on your actual legs, where it fits on your shoes, and how it overall kind of mates up as a system. So this may not be a problem for other people. I just found that it was a problem for me. But with a really easy solution, taking this and again stitching it higher up, I think these will work perfectly fine. Now another minor detail, and it's a little hard to describe, is the overall shape of the cut I think the shape of the cut is okay, but it's the location and positioning of the straps that needs to be a little bit modified to make sure that the strap pulls directly down and underneath your heel and kind of the ball of your foot. You really need that strap to be between those two areas to minimize the amount that you step on it, and also for it to not potentially ride back and on your heel. So if you look at the way it's actually shaped right now and fits, because this strap is a little bit over more towards the back in my heel, unfortunately what that does is it wants to naturally pull the side of this kind of more towards the heel. Instead, it should fit a little bit better down and in the middle of my foot. So what I'd like to see on the future version is maybe adjusting where the strap actually connects to the gaiter itself. Going through the rest of the details, you will notice that these do have a clip that hold these nicely on my boots. So basically the clip at the bottom loops this directly onto my shoelaces and bootlaces so that these stay nice and in place. Now again, taking a look at the inside here, you'll see that the upper calf portion is that reflective material. So again, keeping my calves nice and warm as I hiked in. The lower material here, a good durable waterproof nylon. It seems to have maybe just a little bit of a coating. If you look at this side, it is more of a matte finish, and then the inside is just a little bit shinier. So I'm not exactly sure what kind of nylon's used here, but it definitely appears to be nice, durable, and waterproof. Another thing that I greatly like is the nice, thick piece of Velcro here. Sometimes gaiters, they go a little bit on the narrow side, and I find as though the Velcro doesn't hold good and tight and in place, but here it definitely does. So with this nice overall size of Velcro here, it definitely works well to hold these right where I need them. Now Brian has been using this pattern on a few of his other products lately. I like it. It is somewhat of a woodland camo look. This is the only color available at this particular time from what I believe. There could be other options in the future, but right now I think this is Brian's only available color. Looking at the overall construction on the top of these, there is a nice webbing that goes right around your calf. Now that is used to keep these nice, secure, and in place. You will notice that as you pull these, essentially it cinches the entire top nice and tight. So as you pull this, it allows this to get nice and tight around your calf and does a good job keeping the top nice and secure and sealed. Now the hardware for the most part does appear to do its job. As I tug on this, I do not see these buckles loosening up, but it is real easy to get your finger under there and loosen these. So the hardware choice is great. I overall very much like it. I think it works extremely well and functions extremely well, with the only problem being the way it was actually designed and fabricated on the bottoms. Now one little minor detail, if there is going to be a version 2.0 of these, I think another little thing that I would do is change the position of the hardware, bring that to the outside, fix the buckle situation, bring it up a little bit higher, and then here where you have a little bit of extra webbing, I think I would make either a little retainer or something, and this may be able to slide in here if you're careful, but it's a little bit awkward. So maybe the idea that this can slide in this pocket and get this excess out of the way, but that's a little bit cumbersome and difficult to do, and now at this point I'm kind of loosening these up. So I think having just a little way to retain the excess strap on the outside might be an advantage. So alright guys, there you have it, a quick look at another innovative product from 2GoSystems. So I'd like to say thank you very much to Brian at 2GoSystems who provided these products for review. I think there's a lot of merit here. I think these are well on their way to being another excellent offering from 2GoSystems. I also believe they need a little bit of tweaking to get them where they need to be. Now in the meantime, I'm going to be able to make some minor modifications and these will work just fine. I think there are some clear advantages to having these over other brands, simply being the thermal properties. That little bit of extra warmth can definitely come into play when you need it. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.